I think my house is haunted and I don't know what to do. Move out, sell it, get a priest to come in or exorcise it yourself. Nah. Nah. I'm just going to act like a helpless victim and be terrified into paralysis, into inaction. Yeah, that's a great way to deal with problems. I've thought my house has been haunted for a long time now, but recently it's getting to be a lot more. Yeah, this stuff escalates, as the thing that is there gets stronger and stronger, as it feeds off you more and more. So non-human, never human entities from somewhere else, usually referred to as shadow beings, they don't need to feed on humans to exist here. But if they want to thrive in this realm and be more ambulatory and be more powerful so that they can thereby feed off of people even more, yeah, they have to escalate shit. They have to get you more frightened. They have to wear you down over time. It's called the oppression phase of a haunting. Oppression, which oftentimes, sometimes leads to the possession phase if the person doesn't do anything, doesn't act in a proactive manner to get out of that situation or deal with it. Doesn't always occur. Oftentimes something will just oppress a person or a family for years and years and years and just, feed off of their occasional anxiety and angst over the situation. But sometimes it progresses further. Anyway, but recently it's been getting a lot more. I would assume he would have put weird there, probably what he meant to say. I've had a few experiences. Normally they'd be pretty big ones, but always happen few and far between. Yeah. Okay. My family lives on an old farm, 15 and a half acres. Pfft, it's not a farm. What farm? Yeah, you live on 15 and a half acres. Just having 15 and a half acres doesn't make a farm. Do you grow wheat? Do you grow corn? What do you grow? Do you have pigs and sheep? And do you have an actual farm that is, like producing, that is, agriculturally productive? If not, then it's not a farm. Okay? Might have once been a farm. Anyway, it's not worth quibbling over these minor details. But anyway, so my his family lives on an old, but it's not a farm anymore. Not if you're not farming it. So you live on a place that used to be a farm. Gotcha. 15 and a half acres, pretty big with forest. 15 and a half, it wasn't a farm. Okay, there originally must have been more land because there are not too many farmers that can make a living off of 15 and a half acres, okay? And an old farm in the past, when agriculture was far less productive, no. This is a piece of what used to be a much bigger farm. Okay, continue. 15 and a half acres, pretty big with forests. You mean woods, okay? 15 and a half acres ain't a fucking forest, okay? And a very nice place with 3 main barns. Barns doesn't make it a fucking farm. Not in the present sense, anyway. Anyhow, one is the red barn. We built half of it into an actual house. Okay, that's pretty cool. And still use part of it for sheep. Okay, so you're farming wool, I guess. It's the newest barn on the area. The black barn, very old and worn down. We keep extra wood and stuff in there. And lastly, the house barn. The house barn is the oldest, over 500 years old. Where's this located? Okay, this definitely ain't in America. Okay. We didn't have barns and farms 500 years ago, yo. It wasn't long. 500 years ago, it hadn't been very long since Columbus discovered America, okay? Maybe 500 years ago, settlers were just learning how to grow corn from the local natives. Okay, so this probably isn't in America. All right. Over 500 years old, when it was built, it used absolutely no nails. Oh, yeah, this definitely isn't in America, I don't think. Maybe the UK? Somewhere in Europe? Anyway, you're speaking pretty good English, so, yeah, maybe Britain. Okay, anyway, this was just for setting up the area. Now on to what I think has been decently active activity. Active activity. Why didn't you just say decent activity? I misspoke earlier. I said this person speaks decent English. I take that back. The first encounter I had a few years ago, it was pretty late and I was about to go to sleep from watching a movie. Okay, been there, done that. I looked over onto the couch across from me Had a couch across from you? How does that work? How the fuck are you watching a movie if there's a couch across from you? Maybe the couch was across and then the TV was at the foot of both couches. I don't know. Sounds like a weird room setup. But anyway, I looked over onto the other couch across from me for the controller and watched it turn from being horizontal to vertical so as to face me. What the fuck? That's bizarre. So human spirits don't generally act in this manner. Human spirits, once physical, as I refer to them. I don't use these terms ghosts and spirits and that kind of crap. So these once human entities, they don't generally have that kind of power, or if they do, they don't exercise it very often. So a once human entity doesn't have the kind of power to affect the physical world that, say, a demonic force would have, but a lot of people like to refer to as shadow beings. Okay? So to actually manifest physical object manipulation is usually an indicator of something non-human in nature. Not always, but often. Anyway, it moved incredibly slowly, and it was just odd. Yeah, it wanted to make sure you got a good view of it. Okay? All right? Nothing I can really think of that was a large event happened before that. I think it is the biggest one I've had. Huh. Okay. I had been trying to sleep. Only my mom was home and I knew she hadn't left her room when I heard someone try to open my door. Well, that's pretty big. A door is bigger than a remote control, yo. I would think that somebody trying to open my locked door, when I know it's not my mom and there's nobody else in the fucking house, that would be bigger than a remote movie. That would make more of an impact on me. I'm just saying. Like they had been rattling with the knob. Okay? That's freaky. My door doesn't shut properly or lock. Really? So whatever this is trying to scare the shit out of you. So it's trying to scare the crap out of you. Or lock. Really? That sucks. Yeah, I had that too when I was a kid. My door didn't have a lock on it. So I wanted some privacy. I had to shove a board underneath. My bed had like wooden slats, all right, underneath it. And I would lift the bed up, the mattress, and take a slat and, just shove it underneath the door. And that would jam it closed so nobody could open it. That was my door lock. Otherwise, I had no privacy. And was easily able to be pushed open. Then in my mom's voice, perfectly monotone, I hear, "Help me, help me." Yeah, this is not a human entity. Human entities do not have the ability to mimic other voices. Once human entities do not have the ability to mimic other human beings. Only non-human demonic entities have the ability to do that. That's what got me, and suddenly it just stopped. Yeah, it's testing. It's testing you. Seeing how terrified you get, how frightened you get, and then it uses that barometer to go off of in regards to how to approach you in the future, to try and be able to feed upon you. If you don't get frightened at all, some people don't. This shit doesn't bother me. This doesn't scare me. I've had gates open, doors open, weird shit happen. I'm just like, okay. This shit doesn't scare me. That's why I talk about it. That's why I know about it. That's why I know how to deal with it. Because whenever you're going to have any kind of interaction with the unseen world that you're choosing to have, whether it be to fight it, to deal with it, to try and remedy a problem that someone else is having because they fucked with something they shouldn't have, or they ended up stumbling into a situation created by somebody else who dabbled with the unseen world, you can't be afraid. If you're afraid, well, you shouldn't be trying to remedy these kind of situations in the first place. It's testing you. Moving the remote a little bit. Minimal output of energy just to see how you react. And now it's moving onward to fucking with doorknobs and shit. It wants to see how you react. It's testing you. That's what got me. And it suddenly just stopped. I assume it stopped as quickly as it started. Okay. Then I heard heavy footsteps walk around. That's definitely freaky. You don't see anybody in the fucking room and you're hearing clomping footsteps. I'd like to know what the footsteps sounded like. Did they sound like heavy footfalls, like a solid object striking the floor? A solid object like heels, but only heavier, which could be more akin to hooves? Or was this just lighter footfalls, more blunted, more cushion, as you might hear from, say, human feet that are unshod, barefoot. Somebody walking around barefoot, basically. The sound that you're hearing from the footsteps matters also. Anyway, so I heard heavy footsteps walking around, lights turn on and off, after I know I'd left them off. Yeah, it's fucking with you. It's fucking with you. Human entities don't usually exert or have this kind of energy to put out, okay? All right, unless they're trying to get you out of that house, unless they're trying to get you to move out, frighten you to get you to leave, they don't have the same kind of incentive as non-human entities do, all right? And again, they don't have the kind of power and energy to constantly be moving physical shit around, turning lights on and off, fucking with doorknobs, moving remotes around. Anyway, dogs barking at nothing and getting bad vibes or suddenly getting super cold in one area. Yeah, that can also happen with human entities, but it's far more noticeable when you're dealing with an inhuman one. And yes, these inhuman entities vary greatly in power. That's why in some cases you never reach the point of demonic possession. It just seems like a long drawn out oppression that goes on for years. That specific entity you're dealing with in that case probably doesn't have the power to break through your natural defenses to full out possess you. But it does have enough to oppress you and slowly feed on you for a long period of time. Anyway, with the history of our farm, I'd have to assume that maybe it's an Amish spirit. No. This is not human. You're not dealing with something human, okay? Who died working on the barn? Incorrect! This is why somebody who's not an expert in these things should not opine. That's why you call someone like me. But I also have neighbors just down our old gravel road. It's gotta suck. Driving down that road, it rains. When it's fucking snowing. It's a gravel road. Oh my God. I mean, could you plow that? I mean, wouldn't you plow up the gravel? I mean, that must be a nightmare in winter. Down our old gravel road, who I happen to be friends with, one of the kids of, and their older sister is an occultist. Oh, that's just great. And has done many spells in their house, and recently she apparently let something loose. This is not good. And if this is something that was down the gravel road, that also means that this something is strong enough to leave whatever portal she opened up or accessed to travel to your house. For something to be that ambulatory, it's not a human spirit. You understand. Either that or it used her to piggyback. So these things can only be ambulatory if they're extremely, extremely powerful. And even then, they can only go so far away from a portal to their own realm. So either it's extremely powerful or it piggybacked off of her and then set up shop in your house, which is probably more likely. Since you say she's a friend of yours, she's probably traveled to your house. This thing could have latched onto her. And since she's an occultist, fucking around with the occult and spells and summoning shit and probably plays with Ouija boards and other divination tools, she would have already opened herself up to and invited something to access her for the purposes of divining for divination attached to her and piggyback to your house. Possibly one explanation. Or it's really, really strong. Anyway, yeah, she's done many spells in her house, and she apparently let something loose. That's just conjecture. You don't know that it's her that caused this. This thing could have been there when you moved in, and whatever renovations you did woke it up. That's also something that happens very often. Sometimes people will move out of a house, and whatever was there doesn't have the strength, doesn't have the power, doesn't have the energy to go along with the people who prior lived there. It doesn't have the power to the ambulatory ability, the ability to move, to travel very far from where it is. So it goes into a form of hibernation within the walls, within the physical structure of the house that it is now bound itself to. And that's why oftentimes people will live in a house for years, even decades, and there's nothing there. They experience no paranormal phenomenon, and then they decide to do some renovations, and all of a sudden this shit starts happening. Yeah, because you woke up what was there. Anyway, my main worry is that this could be evil. No, really? You think? This shit definitely isn't usually good, okay? All right? Now, you could argue that it's neither good nor evil. It's just simply doing what it needs to gain access to your bioenergy and feed on you, but what it's doing to you to gain access to that energy is evil, is wrong, is contrary to your well-being. It's not good for you. It's harming you. So, yes, it's evil. You judge this stuff by its actions. Definitely evil. All right? My main worry is this could be evil or a type of mimic. Well, these types of entities do mimic as a way to terrify, as a way to frighten, as it seems to be attached to my mom. It's possible. You need to give us a little more information about your mom's health, her activities, what type of person she is, but there's not much left to this story, so I don't think he's gonna. Who's heard her name be called throughout the house when she's alone or in bed? Her name called by who? What kind of voice? A child's voice? Her own voice? Her ex-husband's voice? Her husband's voice? Sounds like this is a single mommy. There's no mention of a father. I mean, what's the voice? Ay, ay, ay. And no one who lives at my house calls her by her name. We just say Mom. Yeah, that's essentially to terrify her more, all right? For this inhuman, non-physical, non-corporeal entity to call her name, it's just coming out of thin air as just to terrify her more, yeah. I've heard many coyotes almost right outside my window. Yet the dogs never bark, which makes me think they might be scared of it. Interesting. Usually dogs tend to bark at these types of things, and for these dogs to be silent, that could bolster the possibility of this being an extremely, extremely powerful entity for it to be able to travel from your friend's house to yours. Anyway, I honestly don't know. I'd like to figure it out and see if there is even one spirit here or any at all. Well, if there's nothing there, what's talking out of thin air? What moved the remote? What's jiggling with your fucking doorknob and walking around your room, but you see nothing there? But there's obviously something there because footsteps don't come out of nowhere, okay? Now, a lot of people might want to say, oh, but Marcus, it could just be, left over, right? Like, the walls of the house, the environment, it's holding a memory from the past. No. The memory from the past wouldn't be affecting this world physically. The types of things that you're talking about where people can read and sense things that happen from the past in the present, that happens in the form of sounds and images. It doesn't happen in the form of actual physical manipulation of physical objects in the now. That's not any kind of memory being held by the environment, okay? No, this is a demonic entity. This is a demonic entity, and you need to be really, really concerned. What I'd like to know is how long they've been living there, how many of these types of incidences have occurred, and when did they start, and are they still continuing to this day? I have a lot of questions for this person. My response to this story would be you need to take some proactive measures to get this thing out of your house. And I'm definitely going to leave a message on this particular Redditor's post. Give them my email. Tell them how to contact me. I need to get more information. I need to know more before I can give them a plan of attack, something to do. The worst thing you can do in this type of situation is nothing. A lot of people just resign themselves to these kinds of manifestations in their home. Oh, there's nothing I can do. Yeah, that's what these kind of entities love. You just resign yourself. And that's in part from their influence on you. And that is the least wise thing you could do. You have to be proactive. You have to take steps to get rid of these kind of things. You have to take steps to bulwark your own natural defenses. You cannot resign yourself to these types of occurrences. Anyhow, let me know what you think of this story in the comments section. Was there an entity, demonic force, are we living there? Or was this indeed the result of this person's neighbor fucking around with the occult and summoning something without realizing it, and now she's let it loose on her neighborhood and has decided to set up shop in this kid's house, maybe because the mother makes a more ideal target to fuck with and feed upon than the girl who summoned this thing. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and please like and subscribe to my channel. And just, let me know your opinions, your views on this story. Anyhow, I am the paranormal expert, aka Magus, and I wish you a good and pleasant day. Take care.